It seems to me that the Occam's razor explanation for all of the stuff you see Governor Abbott doing and lots of other Republican state legislators and governors is that they're trying to gin up outrage among the Republican base strictly to get out the vote. That this is all about getting their base out by, throwing Dr. Seuss at them and then Mr. Potato Head and now critical race theory. The question is, in Texas, is that a workable strategy for Abbott?
You're absolutely right. They are trying to distract us while they steal elections and the very democracy that we should be fighting so hard to protect and expand.
And so the folks in Austin may try to distract you about which boy or girl can use which restroom, or which girl can play which athletic sport, or if there is pornography in our libraries, or whether we're teaching CRT or something else. But most parents, and being one of those myself that I listen to, really want to make sure that our kids can read and write and do the basic arithmetic that will allow them to be competitive going forward.
Lean on me.
I think folks are sick and tired of us being divided and pitted against one another. They want to see us come together and do big things in this state.
You talked a lot about education, the need to make sure that youth here have everything they need. There's also been a concerted effort by Republicans to push this idea of critical race theory. And Sam Houston is obviously an icon in this region, and he had a complicated history with slavery, but he did own human beings. Do you feel as though youth here should learn about Sam Houston and the fact that he owned slaves?
Absolutely. I think we should know the full story of Texas and the full story of the United States of America. Not only our founding ideals and principles, but the way that those ideals and principles were often violated by the people who wrote them, or the fact that so much of the wealth and opportunity in this state was actually created by people who had no choice in the deal whatsoever. I know that we are a strong people. I know that we're strong enough to handle the truth and to grow from that and to be better, and also not to repeat the same mistakes, which we are bound to do unless we learn our history. You look at what happened just after Reconstruction and the fact that 50% of the elected officials in Fort Bend County were black at the end of Reconstruction. And you had the beginning of the Jaybird all-white Democratic primary, which not only served as a filter against black political participation, but turned into violent armed insurrection against black office holders. And literally the African American people in positions of public trust were driven out of the county. And not just that, but through a perverse reading of the 13th Amendment, you began to see the arrest of black men and black boys to serve on sugar plantations, and the system of convict leasing basically built the foundation of imperial sugar and sugarland and Fort Bend and so much of the wealth in that area. We should know that history. That's in large part how Texas was built. And if we don't, then we're trafficking in myths and things that just are not true.
Critical race theory is a hard-left ideology which calls into question the liberal order and equality theory. CRT stems from critical theory, which is rooted in neo-Marxism.
I think that the criticism is helpful. I also think that it might... I think of a lot of things. The first thing I think is that we actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on sort of ideological theories.
From the book Critical Race Theory and Introduction, quote, "Unlike traditional civil rights discourse, critical race theory calls into question the very foundations of the liberal order, including equality theory, legal reasoning, Enlightenment rationalism, and neutral principles of constitutional law." These theories began in law school. However, as stated by prominent critical race theorists, CRT has rapidly spread beyond that discipline. Today, many scholars in the field of education consider themselves critical race theorists. Does Beto really know what CRT is?
And I think you and I probably are both on the same page as well.
We don't see CRT being taught in our schools right now. It's a course that is taught in law school. No, I don't think it should be taught in our schools, yeah.
In 2021, several United States mayors officially implemented CRT in their city's K-12 public education. Around the same time, other states banned the divisive curriculum.
The next resolution is 68 in support of critical race theory in public K-12 education. This resolution outlines the U.S. Conference of Mayors' support for the implementation of critical race theory in public education. Are there any questions or comments on number 68? If not, I move for adoption. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed, please verbally signal nay. The ayes have it.
What if we treated that teacher with the respect that she has earned, that she is owed, that we all want to give her? We don't need to tell her what version of history she is allowed to teach in the classroom. We don't need to scare the parents of those kids before her about something called CRT that I've never heard of before last year.